Hey yo, welcome back. Got another amazing episode. The Manny Hall Show. I ain't really told y'all about that, but it's been something I've been building behind the scenes for a little bit. But I'm letting y'all know now. You can now go to my series. There's one about mindset. There's one called The Road to Millions, but you're gonna now see one called The Manny Hall Show. I'm pushing all these videos over to YouTube as well, so you can go over to YouTube and check out all the videos. On YouTube, they'll be titled by the guest that is on for the Manny Hall Show. But so you'll see a nice little library of about 7 to 8 of them right now. But I'm gonna be building them up. So all throughout this year, you're gonna see some really dope interviews with the Manny Hall Show, with entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives, influencers. We're gonna get it in. Just wanted to give y'all that little recap. All right. Andrew, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
I'm doing amazing. Thanks for taking the time to talk.
No problem. Hope you can see me
Oh,
okay.
yeah, you're good. You're good. Cause it get weird doing these lives when cause somebody's head be cut off. You can just see their eyes. One time I just seen a person's eyes, Andrew. I was being creeped out. Like, hey, you gotta move your head. I can just see your eyes. This is crazy.
What's crazy, like for females, I've seen just boobs, like because they were standing in the video.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's not cool at all. All right,
Right.
so for those that are not hip to who you are, please tell them who you are and exactly what you do.
Hi, everyone. I am Andrea Wilson. I'm the broker and owner over at Brick House Realty. We're a real estate brokerage here in the Cleveland market. People always ask, what is a broker? What's the difference between a broker and a realtor? Basically, if you are a realtor, at least in the state of Ohio, you have to work under a broker. That broker has taken advanced classes, college courses, completed so many transactions, and been in the business for an extended period of time in order to become a broker slash business owner. So that's what I do. We have about 25 agents here in our office. My husband and I run, I'm pointing, he's over that way, but my husband and I run the brokerage. And we help agents grow their business, and we service clients here in the Cleveland market.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. So your job as a broker is a little bit more difficult and a little bit more strategic because you're running a whole ship, right?
hmm Yeah, so I actually, as a broker, I still actually sell. I have a direct team
Okay,
that I specifically work with. So if someone were to reach out to me, I do talk to them through that
gotcha.
process. And then my team and I help them, achieve whatever goal they have. But part of the reason why I have a team is, as being a broker, I'm almost like really like a business coach for real estate agents.
Gotcha.
So my job is to help these agents grow and scale their business, help them keep motivated. So we
Mm,
offer a number of trainings. I do personal trainings, coaching, accountability, and just trying to help them really go through their transactions on a daily basis. I work with a lot of newer real estate agents. So with a new agent, this is all new for them. So they need some help with understanding the contracts. They ran into a difficult situation in a deal. How do we maneuver through that? Because that's the biggest part of being in real estate. The hard part is not showing the houses. The hard part, once you understand the contract, is not writing
mhm,
the contract because we're just filling in a document. It's about managing people.
mm.
And a lot of times people, if you're not used to managing people, meaning people, you deal with a wide range of personalities, right? You may even encounter a client, quite frankly, you may not like. You can't wait for that transaction to be over. I've had agents who have done business with someone who they considered a friend before the transaction, but by the end of it, some things were displayed through the transaction, and they realized, like, whoa, this doesn't align with who I am and who I want to be associated with.
Mm.
And unfortunately, That's just what the reality is of it. But if you know how to manage people, conversations, work through conflicts, then you can be a successful agent.
Wow. So one of the things I want to kind of touch back on is the fact that you're here helping these agents. Now, with all the stuff that you listed, like, what do you think is like the biggest pain point that you see with most new agents coming in that really need your help?
In today's world, it's going to be social media.
Okay.
So, social media for real estate agent is a big part of our business. And if you say, are there successful agents who are not on social media? Yes, there are agents who are not. All the old school agents are not on social media and they're still successful. But they are doing other things. That means either you're cold calling, you're door knocking, you're prospecting, you're always networking. But for most of the modern day newer agents, it's going to be social media. And what we've learned through social media, when you watch any of the gurus, Manny, you do marketing, video is the number one thing that you have to do and incorporate in your business. And when you tell agents, hey, I need you to do social media, do lives, do videos, they are so afraid of video. So I think that that's like one of the biggest challenges, because they don't understand how powerful this free tool is.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, if you signed up and you said you want to be a real estate agent, then you also signed up to do things that real estate agents do. It comes with the territory. And that means being on social media, being present, networking, and kind of being out there.
Yeah. And Andrew, you know me, I like to kind of dig in deeper. So, part of the reason that I've seen for, agents, other industries that come to me, not doing videos, not showing up on social media, is because it's like this brand new world that we're not really accustomed to, but we're asked to show up in a way that makes us really uncomfortable. And us as human beings, just in nature, we don't do things that are uncomfortable because we shy away from it. It makes us feel weird inside. Our hearts start beating fast. We don't want to experience none of that. And I've seen people, honestly, I said, listen, I'll go live with you. You want to do that? Let's go live. No, man, I just can't do it. Don't make me do this. Like, people just like, they just can't do it because of that fear. But the dopest part about what you said is like you have the opportunity to have an explosive business. Yes, there are agents that are not on social media that are still killing the game, but guess what? Those are those same agents, similar to like somebody that's a celebrity right now. Before social media existed, they already had a name. They was already doing their thing. But tell me a brand new agent, Andrea, and tell me if I'm wrong, but tell me a brand new agent between 30 to 50 that's going to come in right now, never done real estate, and kill the game without social media.
No. A few years ago, a couple years ago, actually, now I keep forgetting about 2020, it like disappeared off my map. But so 2019, I was part of all of 2019. I paid to be part of a real estate coaching program. And what's interesting is this. The coaching program that I went through, the guy is really, really old school. Effective methods, but very old school. So as part of his plan, he didn't focus on social media. He was old school. You host events, you show appreciation, you give little trinkets, you network, you make calls, right? That was what the training was. And you focus on being consistent, in which consistency is still very important. For sure. Your newsletters going out and everything. Didn't talk about social media. As we fast forward, especially when the pandemic hit, do you think this old school trainer started using social media? He had to, right? To even show you how important it is, he had to transition to social media, because we couldn't go outside. We couldn't go door knock. We couldn't host events. We couldn't go networking. So he had to conform to the way of the world and start doing social media.
Yeah.
So he focused in on doing like YouTube videos, and like every like Tuesday would show up on there. But that's even to show you, even the old school people who
Yep.
were trying to stay away from it have
Yep.
realized that, oh, I got to be over here too.
Facts, facts. I mean, and it's so vital. It's like, so if you're listening right now or watching the replay, if you're an agent, you need to tap in. And honestly, Andrew, it almost sounds like they can join your coaching program to learn how to get this game, even if they in another state. Is that accurate?
So no, I don't bring on agents. I only train the agents that are in my office. If you're in Ohio and you have in your license or thinking about getting licensed, I am happy to talk to you and connect with you.
Yeah.
But I only work with agents within our office and helping them grow their business. Maybe down the line.
Yeah, so here's a model that I'm talking about. Not necessarily that they're an agent under you, but let's just say they're an agent with somebody else, but they need to learn some effective ways to do social media, some selling techniques. Would you still help them?
No.
No? Okay. That's understandable. That's understandable. Okay.
Only the agents in the office. I
Okay.
really do dedicate my time to growing the agents, that are in my office. Now, if you're thinking about making a transition, we can, work that out,
Right.
as you kind of transition over. And to that point, to where I'm at with it is I spend a lot of time with the agents in the office. A lot of the agents that we get are newly licensed to the business. So I want to help and be able to give as much of my time as possible to
For
those
sure.
agents, because I
Awesome.
do care and I do want to see them grow. When you can ask around, if you're an agent in another office, it's not too many brokers who are spending the level of energy with their agents in the office to see them grow the business. Sure,
Gotcha.
you can come on over, but they're not really hands-on training you, providing you services, willing to do home buyer seminars with you, and really helping you, grow your business to be able to scale up without them charging the fee to do that.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I just have something different that we created here. We
Mm-hmm.
want agents in our office to also think about beyond just the real estate agent, and become the real estate investor as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that
So,
makes sense.
and we talk about that as well.
That totally makes sense. Now, I want to do something, Andrea, that most people probably don't do when they have these type of discussions with you. But I want to kind of like take 5 to 6 years back in the day. Like, what got you to this point where you was like, man, I'm about to be out here doing this. Like, I'm not about to be just a regular agent. And like, what was it that really allowed you to boss up?
Um, Other than my husband just pushed me off a ledge and said, go. I mean, it literally probably was like that.
Okay.
So just like all of the other agents, when they started out, I worked under another broker. And so I've been licensed for 15 years. And so
Wow.
I worked
Okay.
under another broker, and I had some good experiences, but I had a lot of bad experiences as it relates to the demographic of people that I work with, my experiences around that. And I felt like I didn't have the necessary support around that to really coach me, to really help and coach me to that next level. So, my husband is a contractor, and we worked with a lot of real estate investors. And we had got to a point with working with investors that there was a lot of services. So our business complements each other, with him doing the contractor services. I'm the agent, I'm finding the deals, they need the work.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're under, I won't say every brokerage because we're more flexible, right? But some of the brokerages that I worked for, at least at the time, I would then have to go to them, like even something simple, what you would think is simple as offering property management services. You would have to get approval for that, and most brokerages won't allow you to do that on your own.
Okay.
They won't, they just won't, because it's a liability for them. So they won't allow you to do that. In other cases, maybe the client would need a customized service, you know, kind of package. And so we would have to get approval for the broker to make sure we're in compliance to be able to do that. And so when we just started going through those things, I knew that it was going to be a time when we needed to open our own brokerage. And honestly,
were you a little nervous at first?
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
When we had done it, I wouldn't have done it at that moment. Honestly,
Gotcha. Okay.
It truly was Mark, like
Okay.
pushing me off the ledge and saying, "Let's do it," kind of thing. And then we just we rode with it. And it's interesting because when we open our brokerage, right? Day one, open brokerage. All right, great. Where are we gonna get business from? Like day one, you trying to figure out, like, you got 0 clients at this point. Where we gonna get the money from or whatever? And I'm a planner. Like, I like to have things. This is what we're gonna do. Gonna plan it out or whatever. And I make quick decisions on certain things, but like this type of thing, I more so would have planned it out. So what's interesting was 2 weeks maybe into opening the brokerage, trying to figure out where we're going to get our next business. I get a email from a client at like 3:00 in the morning. I get this email for whatever reason. I don't know if you have this bad habit from time to time where you wake up in the middle of the night, you happen to check your email and stuff. And so I checked the email and I get this message from this random person I didn't know at the time. And they were like, yeah, we want to invest in, they were from out of the country, want to invest in real estate. We want to spend $2.5 million, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I must be reading this wrong. You know, those scam messages type of scenarios. So I'm like, it must be that. Get up in the morning, go back and read it. To come to find out, I have a client that I had worked with for a while that lived in Australia. Well, he was an architect and he designed those weird, crazy buildings. Well, he had traveled to China on a project. And when he was in China, he met this couple that wanted to invest in real estate in the U.S. They didn't know where, but in the U.S., and they referred them to me. So this is a really interesting story because their strategy, so they lived in China. They were originally from France. They lived in China. They had twin daughters that were about 16 years old at the time. And so their strategy and plan was that they were preparing to send their kids to college, right? And so their college tour is totally different from what I'm used to. Let's just say that. And so they had twin daughters. One went to college in Australia. So they toured, like, where do you want to go to college at? Anywhere in the world, like, type of situation. Right. So one ended up going to college in Australia, and the other one ended up going to college in California. Right. So they had a lot of money. They were millionaires already. But the small-minded people think like, oh, I'll just go get money out the bank. I'll pay for their college tuition. Right. Not a problem. The rich people don't think like that. They wanted to spend a $2.5 million in the market to recoup the outlay of money that they paid for the college expense. Wow. Once that's paid off, they would then, decide do we keep the houses or do we sell them off? But we've gotten all of our money back. The really interesting thing in this conversation with that is that those properties that they bought back then, because of the way that the market has shifted, their values are probably at least 3 times what they paid for them when they purchased the property. So they've been collecting rent all of this time. And then they also will get the value when they go to sell it. They'll make a huge profit off of that. So that's what kicked us off right out the gate. Like, God was like, let me give them something.
Right.
And gave us our first, real big client at the time. And then the business just started rolling in after that
Wow.
point.
Wow. 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 So, like, how was the belief system at the time? Because I really want to like know this process because I think that there's so many people that get hesitant to actually do the work. Like all the amazing accolades and popularity and fame and money that comes along with it, they want that. But it's like doing the work part gets scary. So like what was the process during that time when it's like we don't got no clients, we just opened up this brokerage. What the heck we about to do?
Well, I am a worry wart. Like I am like frantic. Like so, what happens to me when I feel for me that's distress.
Okay.
This is just how I operate. That's in distress. I don't know where my next paycheck is coming. That's distress. We can have bills paid up for 6 months. I don't care. I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from. That's distress for me. So I go into work overload at that point. That's just my personality of how I am. So I just become that workaholic type of person of I'll stay up straight 24 hours. If that means I need to cold call, if I need a door knock, if I need to, pay for marketing or do whatever, to a point where I feel comfortable. Now that's how I operate. That might not work for everyone. Just because that might stress someone else out in a different way by doing that. But for me, I just kick into high gear of, oh no, like I can't, I'm not the person like, oh, light's about to get cut off and I'm just gonna let them cut off. No. McDonald's, can I scrub your floor? Walmart, you got a third shift? I'm going to do whatever is necessary to make sure and get it done. So that's just what it really is. I mean, when you start a new business, that's like a new baby and you have to put in the grind. There are good days and there are lots of bad days. But what I will say through all of it, you just have to keep going. Just keep moving forward. Do not stop. When you stop, you lose that momentum and then you have to start all over. I learned that the hard way starting my career in real estate. When I got my license, my real estate license, the market had just crashed. And so it was like a really tough time, in the business. And I would get discouraged early on. And I would talk to the broker or office manager at the time, and they gave me bad advice. In hindsight, I know. So with the good news is I know how to coach to that now because of those bad experiences. So I'm able to coach my agents through those because I know what those agents need to hear now. When I was going to those managers, they didn't give me the right information and send me in the right direction for the tools I needed to stay consistent and relevant, in the business. Gotcha. So but you don't want to stop, right? Because you start losing that momentum. So I'm telling agents, it's like a freaking train, right? That train is going. Once it gets up, it's going. The minute you stop, it has to restart. And then you're going to start seeing that dips, those highs and lows, in your business.
So you just can't stop.
Cannot stop. No matter how hard it gets. If you made the commitment, you want to be a real estate agent, you want to be a broker, you want to be whatever it is. It's not even true to just real estate. Whatever it is, if you're seriously committed to whatever that thing is, that widget you created, that soul food restaurant you opened up, whatever, just keep going.
No, that's good stuff. And I mean, y'all, I hope that y'all getting this game, whether you do real estate or not. She's giving you a game. Andrea, speak to that person that is within a regular business, right? They thinking about real estate a little bit, but they have this business. They've been putting in the work for 2 straight years, no sales at all. Talk to them.
So the biggest thing is people will start to kind of like jump around. The first thing that I will say is do a self-check, self-assessment on yourself a lot of times people are quick to point the finger at everyone else instead of really looking in the mirror and saying what the problem is. You might not know exactly what the problem is, but a lot of times it's not that other person, it's not that company, it's not that franchise, it's you. You may not have those systems in place. So, you know, maybe you need to hire a coach, someone to help you through this process, that is an outside person looking at your business to help you kind of grow from there. But you really have to be accountable, and then showing up consistently. A lot of times people will say, well, I'm doing the work. Okay, but then you didn't make your calls every day. You didn't door knock like you were supposed to. It was hit or miss, you know, everything else, sending out postcards. So that's going to show up. It's interesting because, you know, I've had agents, right? I need to charge my phone, but I've had agents that are like, yeah, I've been making like 100 phone calls, cold calls, you know, a day, right? So they literally are telling me this. I say, okay, I don't even argue this point. Like, really? Like, to the point where at my office, like, you know, agents have access. And not like one agent said, yeah, I used to call, I'm there early in the morning. I call first thing, not realizing I have cameras at the office. So I literally see you sit down and get up and leave out. But we ain't gonna talk about that. But so they're like, I made 100 calls, or I'm calling every day, 3-4 hours a day or whatever, right? Okay, I'm not even gonna argue with that, because the person that's making calls 3 hours every day, that if this is what they say that they're doing, you will eventually see some production, some output from that, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
It's kind of like the person that says, I eat good all day. They're on a diet. I eat good. I drink water all day. I don't eat no fast food. But then they're like, but I'm not losing any weight. Because at a certain point, you can't keep saying to people that I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm drinking water. I'm exercising every day. I'm eating right. All I eat is fruits and veggies. You know, I eat clean all day. It's going to show. We're going to be able to see that. That's the same thing in real estate. If you're saying you're doing the work, you're going to network events every month. You're making calls every day. You don't have to prove it to me, because it's going to show, because you'll get at least one deal out of that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. But, you know, I will make the argument that even if that person is making, let's say, 25 calls a day, 30 calls a day, how are these calls actually going? Has anybody heard some of these calls? Like, what are you saying during your pitch? Like, how was your introduction? How was your enthusiasm? How was your confidence? And I think that these are some of the things that we don't think about as business owners, as agents, getting into the business, trying to grow that book. You have to really be able to show up in such a way that is going to be attractive to the people that you're trying to sell to. Right. Otherwise, you know, they don't want to bite on what you have. And it's not that the product or the service isn't good. It's just the way that you're presenting it isn't good. Like, it's not packaged the right way.
I definitely agree with that. But the point of all of this, and that is a good point, because that happens. But I promise, if you're making calls, right, even if we just said 5 days a week for 1 month, you would get at least one person or two persons. You would set the appointment. Now, if you go on an appointment, you're saying you're going on appointments, and you don't get the deal, you know, then that means we need to work on script. We need to figure, what are you saying to those people? We need to adjust something in them. You would have some sort. You can't tell me you've been calling all month and you didn't talk to one person on the phone, right? Somebody is going to pick up the call, and if you didn't get the appointment, you should at least get the appointment, or they would have declined the appointment. So the conversation when you come back should be, man, I keep getting these people on the phone, but they won't let me come over to see their house or present to them. Then that's script. We need to talk about, let's role play and see how we can work that out.
No, that totally makes sense. And so what you're saying is, like, if the person is actually putting out the effort, eventually something will pop.
Right. But the
Okay.
person that's like, no, never, like, no, I keep calling every day, but you have no deals, no appointments, then you're not serious about
Mm.
that. And trust me, this business, if you're a Black real estate agent in Cleveland, Ohio, this market is tough, right? We have to sell double what our counterparts sell in maybe like Atlanta or Texas or one of those other markets, because our price point of our houses are so much lower. We have a problem as majority like Black agents servicing our clients, because a lot of us sell east side of Cleveland. East side of Cleveland, the price point of houses are much lower than west side of Cleveland. So our white counterparts in the business are selling on average $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 houses.
Gotcha.
We're
Gotcha.
not selling that. So we have to sell so many more houses in our marketplace to even compete. So if you can make it in the Cleveland market as a real estate agent, you're doing a great job, because this is not an easy market to find clients. First of all, we have to deal with so many more challenges. Most the Black community is undereducated when it comes to owning real estate. A lot of them feel like they can't own real estate, don't understand the importance of owning real estate. So what happens is, the first thing is we have to first convince our clients why they should be owning real estate and not renting. That's number one, right? Whereas in the white community, they've been taught birth to know, like, you should own real estate, own real estate, own stocks. We don't, the importance of life insurance, they already know that. They've been taught that. So in our community, we first have to convince them about owning a home. Next, we're dealing with challenges of credit, right? So now we have to work through credit challenges with them to get their credit up to where it needs to be. And then the third thing, they don't have the savings, because many of them are paying such high rents, they can't afford to save. If you're raising a family and paying high rents, you can't afford to now save money for a down payment for a house. So we have to work them through these, put in so much work as a real estate agent to get them to ownership. Versus if you're in the white community, you're not going through those challenges like we do. They have those challenges too, but not to the degree that we do in the Black community.
Gotcha. Oh, gotcha. So if you can make it in Cleveland as an agent, you almost can make it anywhere, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see a lot of agents with or without my office that I see doing good work in the community. And honestly, if they were in a different market, a higher price market, they would be doing phenomenal. Not to say they're not doing good here.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good point. So what's currently going on in the real estate market that we all need to be paying attention to, no matter where we are?
So it's interesting. I've been having a text conversation about this. I talked about this a little bit last week. Mark and I was out in California, and it was eye-opening when we went out to California, and it really said a few things on there. So what we saw in California, so we all know, everybody says California market is so expensive, right? And it is, but not like we think. The most expensive thing in California is really the housing. Everything else is pretty affordable. You know, restaurants is the same or whatever. It's the housing. So what I saw in California, and I'm saying this, it'll all make sense in a few minutes, but what I'm saying this is, when I was in California, I drive down the street. Everywhere I go, I always look at the real estate, it's just in my nature. When I drive down the street and I look at a house, newly constructed house, it did not say for sale. It said for lease. It said for lease. So what that told me was that an investor owned that house, and their sole purpose of that was to have it for lease, right? The reason being is you can get an efficiency there for like $3,000, right? So it's more beneficial for you to lease the property out, or if you decide to buy it, the price point of the house is going to be so astronomical, you're not going to be able to afford it, right? So I have some friends. We just literally was texting before I jumped on here that live down in Houston. And we were talking about the rents are astronomical down in Houston. It's the same thing because investors control the market. So when the investors control the market and they control the housing, they set the prices on what real estate, what the rents are going to be and the sale price of the house. Wow. Where this all should make sense for you and kind of pull this together, especially if you're here in Cleveland, Ohio, is that there was an article that came out that said in 2021, there was a record number of investors that purchased in Cleveland, Ohio. The beauty of it is that still in Cleveland, we have plenty of inventory. We still have plenty of inventory. You can be a homeowner. It can still be affordable. I need everyone to understand the importance of being a homeowner, because we think that, oh, that's what they do out in California, or that's what they do down in Texas or New York or DC, right? Because those are major markets. If we continue to allow investors to come here, I'm an investor. I ain't even gonna lie. I am an investor, but the difference is I live here and I care about the community. This is the big difference. So if my friend comes and rent from me, I'm not gonna want to, charge her this astronomical amount to pay for rent, because that's my friend, and I care about this community. I want to see it do good. But the guy that's over in like Australia, China, Israel could care less, because it's about profits for them, right? So if the news just said record number of investors just bought in the Cleveland market in 2021, that means we all need to run out here and start buying these houses. Because if we allow outside investors to keep buying up in here in Cleveland, you think that I'm saying that, oh, Cali has high rents, Houston has high rents. We're going to be on here doing another video talking about the rents in Cleveland are astronomical and people can't find affordable place to live and raise their families. So people don't understand how urgent it is to get their stuff together and start buying these houses here. I find it so crazy that I have to have these conversations of literally convincing people to buy real estate. But when I talk to the folks up in New York, because I have New York investors, I have New Jersey investors, black, white, whatever. I have folks from Canada. They get it because they are living through this. So they get it and have no problem coming here and buying this cheap inventory in the market. So more people, we have to start buying in our backyard. And I know I probably sound like I'm fussing. I'm just passionate about the topic because people don't really understand what they're going to be facing within the next few years.
Yeah. So market wise, where do you think it's going? Like, do you think that we're going to have like lower rates eventually, or are things going to continue to be kind of fluctuating?
Mark said he always say I'm yelling. I'm passionate about real estate.
No, you giving us the game. We appreciate it.
When I get going, it might sound like I'm fussing or whatever. I'm not. That's just it's hard. I don't have a loud voice either. So the interest rates are going up. We're starting to see them spike. They're not crazy. When you talk to maybe like your mom or dad or family members, they'll tell you stories of paying 12% interest rates and stuff like that. We're nowhere near that yet. But we are seeing the interest rates start to creep up. The housing inventory is tight. It's not impossible to buy a house. It's not impossible here in the Cleveland market. You can still find good, affordable family housing. I think that you don't want to wait. I think if we wait, like we're fighting against two things. The housing inventory is more expensive right now, but the interest rates are relatively low. Well, if you say, well, I'm going to wait because until housing prices kind of come down a little bit, well, we're probably going to start seeing interest rate goes down. So I don't know that there's a win-win to this. I just say you want to just go ahead and jump in the market. And real estate will always appreciate. We've seen that.
Oh, that makes sense. I don't know if you saw that question by Grace and Growth. Hey, Anisha, how are you? Is the market still wild? Are people still overbidding?
We've seen it. It's calmed down from where it was. For a minute, it was getting like real crazy. So it's calmed down. I think we're in like a new norm, is what we're seeing right now. In some cases, like if it's a hot property, priced right with all the bells and whistles, you're gonna see multiple people bidding on there. One of my agents showed a video yesterday. She was scheduled to see a house, and the cars were lined up down the street. It was a hot
Wow.
property in a hot
Wow.
neighborhood. So we're going to see that in those key locations. And that's just going to be what it is. But I will tell you one thing, if you plan on jumping in this market, you need to be ready. You need to go ahead and get your pre-approval ready. You need to go ahead, make sure and have that conversation so we see how much down payment money you have, where your credit is. A lot of times people waiting until the last minute. And of course, it's when you see the dream home, right? But then you're not ready to kind of jump in there.
Yeah, you know what, Andrew, let's take a small commercial break. You got some resources at the link in your bio, shameless plug, that can help homeowners kind of understand some of this, right?
Yep. And you can always schedule, I have a link where you can schedule a 15 phone consultation with me. I'm big on strategy. My background is accounting, and I guess that's part of that planning piece for me. My background is accounting. I used to be a corporate accountant. So I go from a strategy. It doesn't matter if you're buying a property for yourself to live in. We want a strategy. I really like for people to, for their first purchase, especially to treat that as their first kind of investment property, and have that plan in place for it. And then at least staying in it for a year and then moving up from there.
That's good information. Okay, Katina had a question too. Can you see that one? It
Wait a minute.
says, how much can you expect to pay after your mortgage? Because if you're only used to paying rent, it's a big jump.
It depends. I guess I would say it depends on what market you're in. So if you listen to someone like Grant Cardone, he says you shouldn't own the home that you live in. You should rent all of your houses. And I would agree with him if you're living in a market maybe like Cali, where the prices of houses are so high, right? It may not be in your best interest to purchase there. But if you are in a market like Cleveland, it's actually cheaper to have a mortgage on a house than it is to rent. Our price points are still relatively low, so it almost doesn't even make sense for you to rent in a lot of cases. Unless you plan on, moving out of town or something like that. But a lot of times it's cheaper. Your mortgage is going to be lower than what you're paying for rent.
Yeah, no, I know Katina. She's one of the homies. She's actually in the Bronx.
Okay.
So that's kind of like an interesting situation for her because you think about getting a house in New York, you're probably thinking about on the outskirts, right?
Yeah, so you want to be in the outskirts. Honestly, what I would be looking at if I were you is to invest in markets like Cleveland, kind of like that Midwest. Cleveland, Detroit has a similar market to us as well. Buying here versus there. Now, when you're buying as an investment property, they are going to require you to probably put about 25% down on it. But I would make that my first purchase. And kind of how that would look for you is we can find something for a multifamily for like $100,000 here. You put 25% down on it. Those rents that you're collecting here, and the rents that you're collecting here, you would then use that money to fund your housing there in the Bronx. So that's how you kind of shift that. You can't afford it there, then where can we create some income for you to be able to afford it if you want to stay there? And that's how you do it. You kind of leave the market where you're at, you come to a more affordable market, you just do investments here and then take that money back to the Bronx.
That's a good idea. You know what, Andrew? You had said that you was a strategist. I'm almost about to give you a whole new title to add to everything else you do. but call it like real estate strategist, because I think that depending on where that person is, depending on what they have going on in their personal life, some of their goals, is really the best strategy. Because I think sometimes, like, you can watch live videos, watch YouTube videos, and somebody giving some good game, but that particular strategy and plan is not going to work for you and your lifestyle and goals. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. You can't just do this like blanket thing because everyone is in a different place. You might have good credit, but no money. Somebody might have money, but bad credit. So the plan may look a little bit different. We still have the same kind of goal, but your plan would be a little bit different on how to attack that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, tell us, for those that are trying to get into investing, like what are some of the things that we should at least be thinking about? Like, is mindset, is planning, is saving important during this process of I'm trying to get into the investment world?
Yeah, the first thing you want to think about is really understanding how much it costs to be you. Everyone has
Mm,
a different amount of monthly living expenses, right? My cost, I'm a family of 6, so our Manny got more than me. I feel good about that.
facts, facts.
But so his expenses might be more than my expenses. It may cost him more for his daily life than it is for me. So everyone has a different number of what it costs to be them. So you start with what that number is and what you're trying to replace. Are you trying to replace income? So you're moving into, why are you doing this? You want to replace income? Okay, then we need to break that down to know how many investment properties you're going to need to eventually replace that monthly income that you have. You want to invest for a lifestyle. You want a luxury car. Then how many properties do we need to cover that expense of that luxury car? Everybody has different reasons, college funds, whatever. So you start there, what your goal is. What are you trying to accomplish with it? You want to leave your full-time job, and you break that down. After you break that down of understanding how much money you need to make, then you create a list of resources that you have already available to you. So everyone has different lists of resources. You might be handy, so you can do the work yourself in these properties, whether it's making it rent ready or if you're doing a fix and flip. You may have good credit, so you can get access to a loan. You may have a partner. You may have a private lender that could step in. A number of things. What resources do you have? Do you know a plumber, painter? You want to list all of these down. Once you have the list of who you have, now we need to find the people or the missing puzzle pieces to all of this. You don't know contractors? Then your goal is to now go out and start connecting and talking to contractors, right? Can give you strategies on how to find contractors. I won't do that here, but give you strategies on finding contractors. You need capital. Okay, then capital may come with either needing to also look at credit. So we may need to have that credit conversation. People try to avoid that because they hear that you can buy real estate with no money down. Even if you find a way to do that, it is still going to circle back to personal credit. So we need to address the personal credit through all of this. So even if you have bad credit, that doesn't mean like I can't do anything in real estate until I improve my credit. That's not the case. There's always something that you can do, be working on. It's part of the plan to get you there.
Gotcha. No, that totally makes sense. Now, if I'm that person that is doing some of the stuff that you said, should I even start entertaining getting some store cards like Lowe's, Home Depot to be able to help with that contracting process?
So it depends.
Okay.
And it depends because I don't want you to use necessarily, it depends on how we're going about this. If you're using a personal loan product, FHA conventional loans, then no, I don't want you to go out and get those type of cards that will impact your personal credit. We need to see where you're at, get you approved for that, because that additional debt may limit the amount that you can get qualified for or getting pre-approved at all.
Okay.
We may want to focus on building some business credit and forming those entities. I've helped a number of people create business entities. creating LLCs, forming those, starting to build business credit. Shout out to, I don't know if she's still on here, to Meek University. I've done a lot of work with her, and she showed me even a lot of stuff with business credit. But we may want to look at business credit and building that as a way for you to get funding as well.
But to go back to strategy, right?
It's all based on strategy.
And see, I think that this is that talk that we don't really hear a whole lot of people talking about. Because if you think about, if somebody was to tell you in this real estate industry, y'all, on this live video at 6:21 Eastern Standard Time, Cleveland, Ohio, that you got to be more strategic way before you get in the game, especially from an investment side, because there are so many people that I've known, and I'm not even heavy in real estate, so many people I've known that didn't have any type of knowledge, any type of coaching. They got in and they made some real bad moves that literally messed them up for the next 5 to 10 years. So now they had to get back on their feet to try to get back in real estate after all these bad decisions. And you can't say, woe is me, oh, life is so hard. You had not taken advantage of opportunity that was right in front of your face and getting some assistance. Listen, this is no try to get you to sign up with Andrea. She already told you at the beginning of the video, if you outside of Cleveland, she can't help you, right?
Oh, I can help investors, just not real estate agents.
Exactly. But I'm saying like from the coaching standpoint, right?
Yeah.
So like, y'all just understand that like she has your heart. She wants to see you win. She wants to limit the amount of mistakes and failures that you have to make in this game, because it can be so profitable, but it can be hard. It can be heart crushing if you make one bad move that can just rock your boat. Talk to them about some of that, Andrea.
Yeah, one of the things that I never really understand, like people will start out investing in the business or want to get started investing in real estate. And so then they just kind of call a random real estate agent. It could be a referral from a friend. They could have gotten a good referral, but they don't ask that agent, do you invest in real estate? That makes a big difference. There's a different mindset of a way that a real estate agent looks at a property when they have investor experience versus they're selling to a traditional homeowner, right? First of all, there's some things that a lot of agents should just be well versed at when looking at a house, period, like the mechanicals, the roof, to kind of tell their agents. But it's a whole nother thing when you're talking about investment property. A lot of investors lean on the real estate agent, expecting them to understand through the lens of an investor, and they really don't. They don't invest in themselves. Most real estate agents do not invest in real estate. They're actually intimidated by the whole overall process. They don't know how to calculate cap rates. They don't know what to look for. So they can't steer you in the right direction. Only thing that, some of them, I won't say all, but some are more focused on the paycheck and will leave you with that burden of that property, when up front with some experienced eyes, they could have told you that this is not the one. Or there could be a deal made on any property for the right price, or at least telling you what that price is that you should pay for it.
Now, how do we do our homework when we're thinking about hiring someone? Like, we just so confused, and we get a couple references, but like, what do we do in that situation? We want somebody that's going to help us through this process. Everything that you're saying is absolutely amazing, but it's like, now I'm on the hunt for this dope agent that's actually going to help me through the process. Well, give us some tips in that.
One, you could call me, but or one of my agents. But no, really, you just need a checklist, and you need to ask the agent, do you invest in real estate? Why not? Like, just asking those questions. Asking them, have they worked with real estate? I guess even asking if they worked with real estate investors are not enough. The key point is, do you invest in real estate yourself? That will tell you a lot, because if they have, they may understand the business. You may want to dig a little deeper. If they say yes, to say, oh, do you fix and flip? Do you rentals? Does it align with what you're trying to do?
Right.
Trying to get there. There's lots of real estate coaches, that are out there, like investor coaches, maybe tapping into them. A lot of times people are avoiding paying the money for it. but it's really necessary. And the only other time that it may not be necessary is if you bring in a partner.
Okay.
Consider bringing in a partner into your deal. That partner should have the experience, right? So that way you can kind of jump through the process. Don't get caught up on and being greedy about the numbers and you want more than half or whatever. Look at that first time of trying to avoid as many mistakes as possible. It's the learning and teaching experience that you'll get from it. Maybe do that a couple times, and then those paychecks will start getting bigger later. But so many times people get so greedy up front because they want all the money to themselves. So they like, well, I can do that. But you don't know what you don't know. So it may, from the surface, it may look easy, but you know, there's certain things you get to working on the house, but then the city come put a notice on your front door shutting you down because you didn't pull the permits. You didn't know that you were supposed to do that. So now this caused you delays 2-3 weeks, and now you have a lender, you're paying a loan on there. But if you had a coach or a partner who was experienced, they could have told you what to do. You know, you may have bought a house in Shaker Heights and you replaced the windows on Shaker Heights. And guess what? Shaker Heights has a requirement that you need to go to the review board to get approval for those window replacements. And you better have put the windows with the grids in there, or guess what? You're going to be taking out all of those windows and replacing them. You just lost time and money on that. So you didn't know that. So that's why it's important to have someone that's well versed in this business to help lead you the right way.
So it's not a bad idea to just hire like an investment coach just so you can learn some of this process.
Yeah, somebody that preferred, like maybe someone that would actually come out to one of your projects, go or join the investment club where you can kind of get the answers and everything. Partner probably would be the best route to go. A lot of times contractors will be looking for accepting partners because a lot of contractors, they can do the work, but it's crazy to sound, a lot of times they just don't have the capital to do their own credit to do their own projects. So they're always willing to take on new partners. Understand their work ethics, because sometimes you run into situations where, you know, they're a little bit slower on there. But usually when you make them a partner, they're more inclined to work on the project a little bit better because they know on the back end they're getting a much bigger paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have one more question. How much money is needed to be a first-time investor?
It depends. I mean, that's
a tough one.
So I would say it all really depends. It's going to depend on what market you're in, what type of inventory you're looking for. So usually neighborhoods, areas are class A, B, C, D, whatever, F markets or whatever. And really the way that that's classed is just centered around like how much crime or, you know, around that area, the school district or whatever. So people will class those specific areas. So you'll hear investors say, I want to be in a BC neighborhood. Well, if you want a BC neighborhood, then you need to have more money than if you're in a less desirable, you know, higher crime, you know, area. So there's pros and cons, right? There's pros and cons to being on that. And some of the things that are included. So for me, I'll talk from a standpoint as an investor, female investor. If I'm buying a property and I want to be as a female, I know I'm married, but sometimes I need to go to a property on my own and my husband can't come with me and I need to go there. I personally need to feel comfortable with going out to that property at 10, 11 o'clock at night if I need to, because I got a call, something's going on over there and I need to go to that property. So for me, if I don't feel comfortable going into that neighborhood at, you know, evening hours, then that's not a place that I personally don't want to buy. Right. Gotcha. For you, it may be a little bit different. You might not be, you know, you might be accustomed to the neighborhood, whatever, feel comfortable. And so here in the Cleveland market, in those neighborhoods, you can find something. You really want to be at minimum $50,000, really, in today's market. In those neighborhoods, $50,000. if you are trying to kind of move it up a notch, right? Because when you're in those more distressed neighborhoods, then you're dealing with a lot more people that, you know, are on housing vouchers, just have a lot more going on and activity in those neighborhoods. So you have to be willing to be able to deal with that. If you're planning to hire a property manager, that property management company of your choice services that area, because then you'll deal with that.
Yeah.
That piece of it. But if you're saying you want a higher scale, like less crime area, you know, better school districts, then you probably need to be around the $100,000 mark. And that's all in. Like, you know, you might have to do a few cosmetic things, but that's it.
No, that totally makes sense. All right, so as we wrap up, any last words? And then I want you to tell them how they can find you. And make sure, before you start talking, Andrew, before y'all go, click this down arrow right at the top. Go to her page, follow her. She gives amazing information. She got a cool page, nice little vibe about herself. So y'all follow Andrea right now. But go ahead and give me your last words and how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, my last words, you know, if you're thinking about investing in real estate, want to become a real estate license or anything to do with real estate, you've seen other people do it. You can definitely do it too. It's just prioritizing what your goals are, setting those down, writing those goals down, and then kind of just going after them. Making sure that you have a good team of people around you. Sometimes people that you may be talking to, if they're not investing or into real estate or even just buying a home, right? And you share with them these goals that you have surrounded, you know, with real estate, they may give you some discouraging words. That just means you need to change your circle. You know, get around whatever lane of real estate you want to get into, whether it's Airbnb, mobile homes, whatever. There's groups out there for every type of niche. You know, you want to be a real estate agent, then hang around and talk to more real estate agents. You want to fix and flip, talk to more and part of groups with more fix and flippers, because there's groups out there. And then stop sharing with those people, and eventually your hard work is going to produce, and then they're going to say, what's that thing that you were doing? How'd you get into it? And let that be what it is. You can connect with me. I have a link in my bio. You can schedule a 15-minute consultation. If you have some quick questions, you can send me a DM. But yes, please make sure you follow me. She's a brick house. But thank you for having me on here. I love talking about real estate, if you can't tell.
No, absolutely. You're so good at it. All right, y'all. So y'all going to be able to catch the replay on my page as well as YouTube for the next probably like 5 or 7 days. You'll see it here on Instagram, but the link is going to be right there on to go to YouTube and watch it as well. All right, peace and blessings again, Andrea. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.